The Hell Creek Formation is one of the most iconic and well-studied fossil-bearing geological formations in the world. Located primarily in Montana, it dates to the very end of the late Cretaceous, just before the mass extinction. This formation preserves a remarkably diverse snapshot of ancient life, from massive creatures like Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops to delicate fossils of small mammals, amphibians, and even insects and plants. The formation represents a lush, subtropical floodplain environment, with meandering rivers, swamps and dense forests and some of the earliest flowering plants. The climate was warm and humid, supporting a rich mosaic of ecosystems where both giant dinosaurs and tiny creatures thrived side by side. Fossils found here show complex food webs, with both aquatic and terrestrial life forms well represented. Discovered and named in the early 20th century, the Hell Creek Formation has become a cornerstone of paleontological research, especially for understanding the Cretaceous, Paleogene extinction event. It uniquely spans the boundary between the Cretaceous and Paleogene periods, allowing scientists to study not just the final days of the dinosaurs, but also the life that emerged in their aftermath. The Hell Creek Formation represents a remarkable window into the very end of the Cretaceous period, roughly 66 million years ago, capturing an ecosystem far different from the Great Plains we see today. Stretching across parts of Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota, it was once a low-lying floodplain, with a warm, humid, and subtropical climate. This landscape was dominated by riparian forests, teeming with angiosperms, ferns, conifers, mosses, and shrubs. Unlike today's open prairies, the area was covered in mixed deciduous and evergreen forests, where even palms and gingers, plants that prefer warm conditions, grew abundantly. Evidence from petrified wood, rooted paleosols, and leaf fossils supports the view of a dense forest environment. Fossil discoveries include hundreds of plant species, showing an astonishing 90% dominance of angiosperms, with the rest made up mostly of conifers and ferns. The preserved plant life includes both familiar forms like Ginkgo and Dryophyllum, as well as entirely extinct lineages such as Nelsoniocladus, an ancient cycadioid. However, many of the fossil leaves and fruits resemble modern plants only superficially. Paleobotanists note that while some fossils are labeled with names like ficus or juglans, they may actually represent unrelated, now extinct genera. Paleobotanists have mapped out floral zones in the Hell Creek strata, which show how plant communities changed over time leading up to the Cretaceous, Paleogene extinction event. Researchers Kirk Johnson and Leo Hickey identified 5 major floral zones showing a progression from diverse angiosperm forests to more uniform and thermophilic forests. In the final few 100,000 years before the asteroid impact, there is evidence of global warming, with subtropical elements like sabal palms becoming more dominant. A significant event in the plant fossil record is the so-called fern spike, a sudden and dramatic increase in fern spores immediately after the impact layer that marks the Cretaceous-Baleone boundary. This spike indicates a global ecological collapse, where ferns, resilient pioneer species, temporarily replaced much of the devastated plant life. Most fossil plant material from the Hell Creek Formation has been collected in North and South Dakota, particularly in localities like Mud Buttes in Bowman County, North Dakota, which is considered the richest source of fossil leaves. In contrast, Montana, though rich in other types of Hell Creek fossils, has yielded fewer plant specimens. Important fossils from this formation are now housed in major natural history museums, including the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, the Yale Peabody Museum, and the Smithsonian Institution. In sum, the Hell Creek Formation reveals a complex, dynamic ecosystem at the very end of the age of dinosaurs, rich in plant life, diverse in habitats and profoundly altered by one of the most significant extinction events in Earth's history. The formation preserves a diverse assemblage of freshwater mollusks, particularly bivalves, which provide important clues about the ancient ecosystems of the late Cretaceous. These mollusks, including genera such as Corbicula or Pluribema, thrived in the river channels, oxbow lakes and floodplains of the region, indicating the presence of stable, well-oxygenated freshwater systems. Their abundance and diversity suggest a rich and complex aquatic ecosystem, supporting not only mollusks but also fish, amphibians, and aquatic reptiles. Many of these bivalves are closely related to modern freshwater mussels, showing a surprising degree of evolutionary continuity across the Cretaceous-Paleocene boundary. Insects from the Hell Creek Formation are relatively rare but offer valuable insights into late Cretaceous terrestrial ecosystems. Fossils include flies and dragonflies, many preserved in fine-grained sediments or found as trace fossils like feeding marks on leaves. Their presence indicates a complex food web, with insects playing key roles in pollination, decomposition, and herbivory. Some insect damage on fossil leaves, such as mining, galling and piercing, shows that plant-insect interactions were already well developed by this time. Many marine species adapted to freshwater when interior seaway retreated, particularly the chondrichthyans, mostly small genus of sharks. Myledaphus is an anacorasid batoid ragiform related to modern guitarfishes. It has a durophagus dentition with blunt, polygonal-shaped teeth tessellated into a pavement suited for crushing and grinding hard-bodied prey. Their tooth shape are commonly described as ray teeth. Many of their teeth show were consistent with feeding on mollusks, which were common in the rivers of North America during the late Cretaceous. Chiloscyllum is distinguished by a relatively long snout with subterminal nostrils. The eyes and supraorbital ridges are hardly elevated. The mouth is closer to the eyes than to the tip of the snout, with lower labial folds usually connected across the chin by a flap of skin. This genus is alive today, known as bamboo shark. Lonchidion is an extinct genus of hybodont sharks that first appeared in the Middle Triassic and persisted until the end of the Cretaceous. Fossils, mainly teeth, have been found worldwide, often in freshwater and brackish deposits, suggesting the genus was euryhaline and capable of living in various salinities. It was a small, durophagus shark, with some debate over whether Lonchidion is a distinct genus or a juvenile tooth form of other hybodonts. The rivers of the Hell Creek Formation were abundant and teeming with life, hosting a large number of bony fish, which were far more diverse than the cartilaginous fish. Acipenser is an ancient genus of sturgeon, with phylogenetic evidence suggesting that it is the most basal sturgeon genus, having diverged from other sturgeons during the early Cretaceous period. Species belonging to this genus still exist today, having survived the mass extinction. Several fossil species known as far back as the late Cretaceous, known from mass mortality assemblages thought to immediately follow the Chicxulub impact, the beginning of the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. In fact, many fish genera from this formation still have living representatives today, such as bowfins and paddlefish. Like other non-polyodon paddlefish, Palaeosephurus was likely piscivorous. Scientists once believed paddlefish used their rostrums to excavate bottom substrate, but have since determined with the aid of electron microscopy that paddlefish rostrums are covered in electroreceptors called ampullae. These ampullae are densely packed within star-shaped bone projections that branch out from the rostrum. Paddlefish with damaged or abbreviated rostrums are still able to forage adequately. Competing hypotheses and debates continue over the evolution of Amia and relatives, including their relationship among basal extant teleosts and organization of clades. Bowfin are the last remaining member of Halicomorphae, a group that includes many extinct species in several families. Melvius is an extinct genus of large bowfin fish, with some specimen measuring 2 meters long. Its robust jaws and teeth suggest it was a powerful predator, likely preying on smaller fish and aquatic vertebrates in the region's river systems. Fossils of Melvius show strong anatomical similarities to modern bowfins, indicating a remarkable evolutionary stability over tens of millions of years. Fossils of Belonostomus have been found worldwide in marine deposits, although some species are known from freshwater habitats. It likely consumed plankton or other small fish, though one specimen from the late Jurassic of Germany was found with the rhynchocephalian Homiosaurus as stomach contents. This geological formation also hosted a wide variety of amphibians, including olm-like species, salamanders, and anurans. Sirens are highly unusual salamanders with eel-like bodies, small forelimbs, no hind limbs, and external gills retained into adulthood. They are primarily carnivorous, using palatal teeth and a keratinous beak to crush hard-shelled prey, though they occasionally consume plant matter. Habrosaurus, one of the earliest known sirens, grew up to 1.6 meters long, making it one of the largest lissamphibians ever. Unlike modern sirens, it lacked a beak and instead had chisel-like teeth adapted for powerful crushing bites. Scapherpeton is a scapherpetonid that is very common in the Hell Creek Formation. Fossils are mostly known from vertebrae and jaw fragments, indicating it was a robust, medium-sized salamander. Some researchers propose that Scapherpeton was closely related to modern mole salamanders, though its exact evolutionary relationships are still debated. Scotiophryne is considered one of the earliest known true frogs in North America, possibly related to modern spadefoot toads. Fossils are generally small and fragmentary, often consisting of skull and limb elements, reflecting its small body size and likely burrowing or semi-aquatic lifestyle. The Palaeobatrachids were a group of frogs, part of a fairly primitive lineage that also includes the living pipids. They first appeared in the fossil record about 70 million years ago in the late Cretaceous. These frogs lived mainly in Europe, with a few possible remains also known from North America. They were fully aquatic, spending their entire lives in water, and fully grown adults looked similar to modern Xenopus clawed frogs, with slightly flattened egg-shaped bodies, upwards-facing eyes, and long fingers and toes. Barbourula buengensis is a large aquatic species of frog. Its body is flattened dorsoventrally and its nostrils and eyes are located at the top of its head. It has no external tympani. Both fore and hind limbs are robust and powerful, and the digits of the hands are webbed as well as those of the feet. Champsosaurus, though resembling an unarmored crocodilian, belonged to an entirely extinct group called Charistidaires and evolved its gharial-like features through convergent evolution. It lived in freshwater habitats across North America from the late Cretaceous to the end of the Paleocene, surviving the Cretaceous mass extinction. Champsosaurus liramiensis, found in western North America, existed between 70 and 62 million years ago and grew to about 3 meters long. Its flattened skull and long, narrow snout were adapted for swiftly snapping fish, with nostrils at the tip possibly functioning like a snorkel. Tiny skin scales covered its body, making it appear smooth from afar. Interestingly, females had stronger limbs to haul themselves onto land for egg-laying, while males were likely fully aquatic. Many species of squamates are found throughout the rocks of this formation, including snake vertebrae and numerous lower jaws belonging to small lizards endemic to the region. Most surprisingly, a mosasaur jaw has also been discovered, possibly belonging to a small-sized species adapted to freshwater environments. Palaeosaniwa was a large, predatory lizard from the late Cretaceous, often described as a prehistoric monitor lizard due to its similarities with the later genus Saniwa. Fossils suggest it had blade-like teeth with serrated edges, indicating a carnivorous diet that included other reptiles, early mammals, and possibly small or juvenile dinosaurs. Although formidable, it was not the apex predator in its ecosystem, which it shared with fearsome theropods like dromaeosaurs and tyrannosaurs. Its presence adds to the evidence of a highly dynamic food web in late Cretaceous North America. As one of the largest known lizards of its time, it occupied an important predatory niche. Haptosphenus was a genus of lizard known from this formation, providing key insight into squamate diversity shortly before the Cretaceous extinction. Its jaw and tooth morphology suggest a carnivorous or insectivorous diet, indicating it played a role as a small vertebrate predator in the ecosystem. The genus is part of a broader group of lizards that show early adaptations found in modern squamates. Chamops was a genus of polyglyphinodontian lizard from the late Cretaceous to early Eocene. It is known from only one species, Chamops segnes. It grew to approximately 50 centimeters long and 2 kilograms in weight. Unlike other polyglyphanodonts, it had a blunter snout. It was originally thought Chamops and kin are related to whiptails, although it is now thought they are more closely related to iguanas. The Hell Creek Formation preserves an exceptional diversity of fossil turtles, representing both aquatic and terrestrial species. These include soft-shelled turtles like Exestomes and Plastominus, as well as hard-shelled forms such as Atticus and Palaeobatrachus. Their abundance and variety suggest that the region was rich in wetlands, rivers, and forested habitats that could support a wide range of ecological niches. This diversity also indicates that turtles were highly successful and resilient components of late Cretaceous ecosystems, thriving even as dinosaurs declined. Trionyx is a genus of soft-shelled turtles known from the late Cretaceous, including fossils found in the Hell Creek Formation. These fossils show that Trionyx had already developed the distinctive flattened, leathery shell and long neck seen in modern soft-shell turtles. The presence of this genus just before the Cretaceous extinction highlights its evolutionary success and adaptability to freshwater environments. Remarkably, Trionyx and its close relatives survived the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs, continuing to thrive in rivers and lakes to this day. Its long fossil record demonstrates the resilience and ecological versatility of soft-shelled turtles through major environmental upheavals. Exestomes, like its modern relatives, had no scuts on its carapace, which probably had leathery, pliable skin at the sides. Despite living several million years ago, Exestomes would have looked very similar to its modern relatives, with a long neck, a sharp beak and 3 toes on each foot. All species grew to a large size, being larger than any modern-day species of soft-shell turtle. Based on the diet of modern soft-shell turtles, it was an omnivore, eating water plants, invertebrates and perhaps small fish. Plastominus turtles are distinguished by their low, rounded shells and elongated skulls, which set them apart from other contemporary soft-shell turtles. The increase in plastral ossification, as well as a decrease in overall size and an increase in the doming of the shell, co-occurs with the Cretaceous to Paleogene mass extinction, and these morphological changes may be in response to an increase in mammalian predators during the early Paleogene. Amongst Nanciunculaeids, Basilemys is considered to be most similar to tortoises. Many paleontologists have described the behaviors of Basilemys to likely be comparable to that of tortoises, due to living in terrestrial habitats and consuming tough plants. It is easily distinguishable from other fossil turtles due to how thick its shell is, the intricate sculpture of rows of triangular tubercles separated by pits, and its reduced inframarginal scales. Species of the genus Atticus had flattened and smoothly contoured shells with horny sculptured plates. The shells could reach a length of at least 50 centimeters for North American species. These large freshwater turtles had an omnivorous diet. Gammarabina was a freshwater bainid turtle that lived around 66 million years ago, and is known from a single fossil skull. Named after the fictional kaiju turtle Gamera, it likely reached lengths of about 50 centimeters. Bainids were early cryptodyrran turtles that couldn't fully retract their heads, unlike many modern relatives. This group survived the Cretaceous mass extinction but eventually went extinct by the Midiocene, around 42 million years ago. Palaeobatrachus is a distinctive genus of bainid turtles, a highly diverse group that thrived in North America during the late Cretaceous. This turtle likely lived in shallow freshwater environments, using a possible proboscis to feed on shelled invertebrates on the bottom. Brachychamps's dentition was heterodont, with conical teeth at the front and bulbous teeth at the back. It has been regarded as a specialist hunter of turtles, based on its rostral shape, massive dentary, and dental morphology, though this has been challenged over the years. A more generalist diet of small invertebrates and vertebrates has also been proposed. Borealosuchus was a mid-sized genus of crocodile, with the largest specimen attaining lengths 2.8 meters in length. It is also another genus of crocodile that survived the Cretaceous extinction that marked the end of the dinosaurs, pterosaurs, and the great marine reptiles. It may be that the physiological and ecological characteristics of crocodiles allowed them to survive this extinction event, as other crocodile genera such as Brachychampsa are also known to have made it through this extinction event. Thoracosaurus is a medium-large gharial-like crocodile that lived during the late Cretaceous through to the Paleocene. Fossils are usually associated with North American and European fossil deposits. The sheer number of Thoracosaurus fossils seems to indicate that the genus was quite successful when compared to other similar creatures of the times and location that the genus existed. Infernodricon is a newly described genus and species of Asdarchid pterosaur, based on a single elongated neck vertebra found alongside the juvenile Tyrannosaurus specimen in the Hell Creek Formation. Initially misidentified as a possible Quetzalcoatlus, it was later reclassified in 2025 as a distinct genus more closely related to Arambourgiania. The vertebra is exceptionally gracile. It may have a wingspan of approximately 4 meters. Unique anatomical features include an unusually large anterior neural canal and rare placement of accessory pneumatic foramina, distinguishing it from other known Asdarchids. The smooth bone texture suggests the specimen was at least nearly mature. Likely a terrestrial stalker, Infernodricon would have preyed on small vertebrates like juvenile dinosaurs, squamates, and mammals. Its gracile neck structure implies it was not adapted to subduing large prey, supporting its classification as a mesopredator in its ecosystem. Denversaurus was a heavily armored notosaurid dinosaur from the late Cretaceous. It had a low, wide body and a dense covering of bony osteoderms, which likely served as protection against predators like Tyrannosaurus. Unlike its ankylosaurid relatives, it lacked a tail club, relying instead on its formidable armor and possibly a low-browsing lifestyle to avoid threats. The genus was named in 1988 after the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, where its fossils were first studied. Ankylosaurus is one of the most iconic armored dinosaurs from the late Cretaceous Hell Creek Formation, renowned for its heavily built body covered in thick, bony plates called osteoderms. This dinosaur measured up to 8 meters in length and was equipped with a massive, club-like tail used for defense against large predators. Recent discoveries have revealed new details about its skull structure, showing a broad, low head with reinforced bones that protected its brain and sensory organs. Ankylosaurus likely had a keen sense of smell and good hearing, which helped it detect predators despite its slow-moving nature. Its herbivorous diet mainly consisted of low-lying plants, suggesting it filled a niche as a ground-level browser. Paleontologists also believe that its armor not only served for defense but could have played a role in thermoregulation or species recognition. The first fossils of Ankylosaurus were found in the early 20th century, but ongoing excavations in Hell Creek continue to uncover more complete specimens. These findings have improved our understanding of how this dinosaur lived and interacted with its environment. Spherothylus is a genus of pachycephalosaurid dinosaur known for its distinctive dome-shaped skull, characterized by a flattened top with small, rounded bumps called nodes. This herbivorous dinosaur was discovered primarily in North American formations. Recent studies suggest that it's used its thick skull dome for head-butting behavior, likely related to social dominance or mating rituals, with damages seen in its fossil. Platyphyllus is a newly identified species of dome-headed dinosaur. This pachycephalosaurid had a broad, low skull dome with a unique roof tile-like texture and evidence of a vascular structure suggesting a soft tissue covering during life. It was intermediate in size between smaller species like Spherothylus, indicating that pachycephalosaurs may have occupied distinct ecological niches based on body size. Surprisingly, Platyphyllus is more closely related to an Asian species, Prenocephale, highlighting previously unrecognized diversity and biogeographic links in late Cretaceous dinosaur communities. Pachycephalosaurus is the largest and most iconic member of the pachycephalosaurid family. It was a bipedal herbivore with powerful hind limbs, short forelimbs, and a thick, domed skull up to 25 centimeters thick, believed to have been used for display or head-butting behavior. Recent studies have cast doubt on the traditional idea of combat-related head-butting, instead suggesting the domes may have supported elaborate soft tissue structures or served as visual signals. Its teeth were small and leaf-shaped, adapted for an herbivorous diet consisting of soft plants and possibly fruits or seeds. Pachycephalosaurus coexisted with smaller relatives like Spherothylus and Platyphyllus, which indicate a greater diversity of dome-headed dinosaurs than previously thought. These species varied in body size and dome morphology, supporting the idea of niche partitioning in late Cretaceous ecosystems. Pachycephalosaurus likely occupied a dominant role among pachycephalosaurids, browsing low vegetation and using its imposing head for intraspecific communication or competition. The genus Stygimoloch is no longer considered valid by many paleontologists, as growing evidence suggests it represents a juvenile growth stage of Pachycephalosaurus, with its distinctive spikes and dome shape changing as the animal matured. Leptoceratops was a small, late-surviving member of the Leptoceratopsid lineage, a group of ceratopsians that branched off during the mid-Cretaceous. Unlike their larger, horned relatives like Triceratops, they had low frills and lacked prominent horns. Leptoceratops itself lived at the very end of the Cretaceous. It measured about 2 meters long and had a stocky, quadrupedal body resembling that of a pig. Its short, deep jaws and strong teeth suggest it fed on very tough vegetation. This genus exemplifies the ecological diversity of ceratopsians shortly before the end Cretaceous extinction. Titancasceratops is a controversial ceratopsian dinosaur known from a single partial skull, originally described as a small, distinct genus. However, its features present a puzzling mix. While its small size and slender horns resemble those of juvenile Triceratops, the fused skull bones suggest an older individual. Some paleontologists have proposed that it may represent a dwarf Triceratops or an individual with a growth disorder. As a result, most recent studies do not recognize Titancasceratops as a valid genus. Torosaurus was a large ceratopsid dinosaur characterized by an impressive frill with 2 large openings, a feature that sets it apart from most other horned dinosaurs. It possessed long brow horns, a short nose horn and a particularly elongated skull, one of the longest of any terrestrial animal. Like other ceratopsians, it was an herbivore, feeding on low-growing vegetation using its beak and shearing teeth. Its large frill may have served both for defense and for social or display purposes within its species. Interestingly, Torosaurus coexisted with Triceratops in the Hell Creek Formation, and the two share many anatomical similarities. This overlap has led to ongoing debate among paleontologists about whether Torosaurus represents a distinct genus or is simply the mature form of Triceratops. Some studies suggest that the changes in frill structure could be the result of age-related development rather than taxonomic difference. However, others argue that differences in skull morphology and bone texture support their separation and the question remains unresolved. Triceratops is one of the most iconic dinosaurs from the Hell Creek Formation, instantly recognizable by its large bony frill, 3 distinct facial horns and powerful, quadrupedal build. As an herbivore, it thrived in the subtropical floodplains of late Cretaceous, feeding on ferns, cycads and flowering plants using a sharp beak and rows of shearing teeth. It could grow up to 9 meters long and weigh over 8 tons, making it one of the largest ceratopsians known. Its horns and frill were likely multifunctional, used in defense against Tyrannosaurus, as well as in visual display, species recognition and possibly in mating competitions. The frill itself was solid, lacking the large openings seen in related genera like Torosaurus. Some paleontologists propose that Triceratops underwent significant skull transformations as it aged, eventually developing the open-frilled features attributed to Torosaurus. However, this remains controversial, and many researchers still treat the two as separate taxa. Recent discoveries have also expanded our understanding of Triceratops' growth stages, showing how features like horn orientation and frill shape changed through development. These findings have clarified that several previously named genera, such as Titancasceratops, are more likely juvenile or aberrant individuals of Triceratops. Furthermore, the genus is now thought to include at least 2 valid species, Triceratops horridus and Triceratops prorsus, which may have existed at slightly different times within the Hell Creek ecosystem. This dinosaur occupied a dominant ecological niche as a high biomass herbivore, potentially forming herds or small groups, though solid evidence for social behavior remains limited. Triceratops was among the last non-avian dinosaurs to roam Earth before the Cretaceous extinction event. Its fossils are some of the most abundant and well-preserved from the Hell Creek Formation, helping paleontologists reconstruct a vivid picture of life at the very end of the dinosaur era. Thescelosaurus was a small, bipedal herbivore, notable for its robust limbs, stiff tail and leaf-shaped teeth adapted for browsing low vegetation. It measured around 3 to 4 meters long and likely led a ground-dwelling lifestyle, possibly foraging in forested floodplains. Exceptionally well-preserved specimens, including one with a possible hard impression, have made it central to debates on dinosaur soft tissue preservation. Edmontosaurus was one of the largest and most widespread hadrosaurid dinosaurs, and a key herbivore in this ecosystem. It could reach lengths of up to 12 meters and weighed several tons, moving on both 2 and 4 legs depending on its activity. Its broad, flattened beak and hundreds of tightly packed dental batteries allowed it to process tough, fibrous plant material with remarkable efficiency. Edmontosaurus had a stiff tail, muscular limbs, and a well-developed crest of soft tissue along its back, inferred from skin impressions found in some fossils. Famous for its exceptional preservation, several mummified specimens have revealed details about its scaly skin, musculature, and even possible soft tissue frills. One specimen preserved impressions of skin and muscles that have offered rare insight into hadrosaur anatomy and locomotion. Edmontosaurus likely lived in herds and may have migrated seasonally, possibly using low-frequency vocalizations to communicate. Juveniles show different limb proportions than adults, hinting at changes in locomotion and behavior with age. Recent studies have also clarified its taxonomy. Specimens once assigned to various species have been revised to include 2 primary ones, Edmontosaurus regalis and Edmontosaurus annectans. The latter is especially common in the Hell Creek Formation and survived right up to the Cretaceous extinction event. Edmontosaurus played a critical ecological role as a dominant low-browser and would have been a primary food source for large predators like Tyrannosaurus. Triarchynchus was described by Fowler and colleagues based upon several differences, especially on the 3 phalanges, the radius and the metatarsals. It is known from its arms, feet and toes. Like its relatives, Triarchynchus would have been feathered, with short arms bearing 1 clawed digit, a bird-like head and long legs. Ontogenetic change based on unguals of different maturity indicate allometric growth. Tyrannosaurus was the apex predator of the Hell Creek Formation and remains the most iconic dinosaur ever discovered. Measuring up to 12 meters long and weighing around 9 tons, it combined immense size with surprising agility and keen sensory abilities. Its massive skull, filled with banana-sized teeth, delivered one of the most powerful bites in the history of life on Earth, capable of crushing bone with ease. Unlike many earlier theropods, it had forward-facing eyes for depth perception, a highly developed olfactory bulb for detecting scent, and likely acute hearing, making it a formidable tracker and ambush hunter. Fossil evidence, including healed bite wounds on hadrosaur and ceratopsian bones, suggests that Tyrannosaurus regularly engaged in active predation as well as scavenging. Its thick, muscular legs allowed bursts of surprising speed for such a heavy animal, though probably not in high-speed pursuit of smaller, nimble prey. Instead, it may have specialized in ambushing large herbivores like Edmontosaurus or Triceratops, using its bulk, strength, and deadly jaws in devastating attacks. Recent studies of juvenile specimens reveal a more gracile build in young specimens, suggesting a shift in hunting style as it aged, filling multiple ecological niches during its life cycle. Debate continues about the presence of feathers, with some scientists arguing that juveniles may have been partially feathered while adults were scalier, possibly due to their large size and heat retention needs. Remarkably complete fossils, like the famous specimens Sue, Stan, and Scotty, have helped paleontologists study growth patterns, injuries, and even potential social behavior. In its environment, Tyrannosaurus was not only dominant but shaped the ecosystem through its predatory influence. To witness one in life would have meant facing a towering, intelligent predator with bone-crushing power and a terrifying presence, truly the tyrant king of the dinosaurs. Ornithomimus was a fast, bird-like dinosaur known for its slender build and long legs, perfectly adapted for running at high speeds. Measuring around 4 meters in length, it likely relied on its speed to escape predators and catch small prey. Its toothless beak suggests a diet that may have included plants, insects, and small animals, making it an omnivore. Ornithomimus had large eyes, indicating keen vision, and long arms with three-fingered hands possibly used for grasping or foraging. Fossil evidence shows that some specimens had feathers, supporting the idea that it was closely related to modern birds. Its lightweight, hollow bones further enhanced its agility and speed. Struthiomimus was another swift, ostrich-like dinosaur, similar in appearance to Ornithomimus but generally slenderer and lightly built. It also had a toothless beak and likely fed on a mix of plants and small animals, making it an omnivore. Struthiomimus's long legs and flexible neck suggest it was well adapted for quick movements and scanning its environment for food or predators. Its fossils, often found with evidence of feathers, further support its close relationship to modern birds. Anzu was a large oviraptorosaur characterized by a toothless beak, a prominent crescent-shaped crest, long arms with curved claws and powerful legs, measuring about 3.5 meters long and weighing 200 to 300 kilograms. Its unique skeletal features suggest it was an omnivore or herbivore, feeding on a variety of foods including plants, small animals, and possibly eggs, and it lived in ancient floodplain environments distinct from its Asian relatives. Anzu's bird-like traits, such as its crest and limb structure, demonstrate convergent evolution with modern birds, but it was not itself an avian dinosaur. Eoniophron is a newly identified species of synagnathed dinosaur, originally mistaken for a juvenile Anzu due to its smaller size. Bone analysis revealed it was actually an adult, not a growing juvenile, confirming it as a distinct species. This discovery highlights that multiple synagnathed species coexisted in the region, varying in body size and possibly ecological role. It also challenges the idea that this group was in decline before the end Cretaceous extinction, instead pointing to sampling biases in the fossil record. Richardoesthesia is a questionable genus known mainly from isolated teeth found in the Hell Creek Formation and older strata. Its teeth are slender, blade-like, and serrated, suggesting it was a small, carnivorous dinosaur. Due to limited fossil material, its exact classification remains uncertain, with some researchers debating whether it represents multiple species or a single genus. Acaroraptor was the first confirmed genus of dromaeosaurid dinosaur to be known as coming from the world-famous Hell Creek Formation. Dromaeosaurid teeth had been known before this time, but they had often been presumed to have come from either Dromaeosaurus, though these teeth are now more commonly referred to Acaroraptor. It is only known from a maxilla and dentary with additional referred teeth. These however have been enough to at least confirm that Acaroraptor was actually a North American cousin of the Velociraptor that lived in Asia. Comparison of the known Acaroraptor fossils at least suggests that the total length of the holotype individual would have been somewhere in the region of about 2 meters in length. Dicotoraptor was an exceptionally large dromaeosaurid, reaching lengths of up to 5.5 meters and weighing as much as 350 kilograms, rivaling the size of Utahraptor. Despite its size, its body proportions were more similar to smaller dromaeosaurs like Deinonychus, suggesting agility and speed. It possessed several unique anatomical features, including a large sickle claw with a robust flexor tubercle, enclosed blood grooves in the claws, and distinctive traits in the leg and hand bones. 2 adult morphs, one robust and one gracile, likely indicate sexual dimorphism. The ulna bore large quill knobs, evidence of well-developed feathers, which likely serve non-flight functions such as display, brooding, or prey restraint. With a tibia longer than its femur, Dakotaraptor was probably a fast runner, adapted to pursuing prey across open terrain. As the only medium-sized predator known from the Hell Creek Formation, it likely filled an ecological gap between the giant Tyrannosaurus and smaller carnivores like Acaroraptor, potentially even competing with juvenile Tyrannosaurus for prey. Pectinodon is a troodontid dinosaur known only from teeth, but its broader family, Troodontidae, is well documented and included small, feathered, bird-like theropods with large eyes and brains. Troodontids had a sickle-shaped claw on the second toe, similar to dromaeosaurids, and were likely agile and intelligent predators. The teeth of Pectinodon are small, compressed, and bear large, triangular denticles, with some variation between specimens in the presence and placement of serrations. Despite the limited material, troodontid teeth have provided insights into their diet and behavior. Their tooth morphology suggests a preference for softer prey, such as invertebrates or small vertebrates, and possibly carrion. Some studies also support the idea that Pectinodon and its relatives were omnivorous, based on tooth structure and stable isotope analysis. Enantiornithines were the most diverse group of birds during the Cretaceous, though their fossil record is sparse in the late Cretaceous. Avisaurus was notably larger than their early Cretaceous relatives, with an estimated weight over 1 kilogram. Fossil evidence from their leg bones indicates adaptations for grasping and carrying prey, much like modern hawks and owls. These discoveries suggest that by the end of the Cretaceous, enantiornithines had evolved into diverse ecological niches, including that of early raptorial birds. Magnus avis was another member of enantiornithians, which retained claws on their wings and often still had toothed snouts instead of beaks, with a size like modern hawk at around 60 centimeters long. Although known only from isolated foot bones, this bird shows distinct features indicating strong gripping talons. These adaptations resemble those of modern hawks and owls. This suggests it hunted small vertebrates. It likely occupied a predatory role in the swampy Hell Creek ecosystem. Brodavis is considered to be the first freshwater and latest record of the order Hesperornithiformes. Although Hesperornithiformes probably lost their flight abilities by the end of the early Cretaceous, minimal pachyostosis in Brodavis suggests the possibility of some volant abilities. Potamornis was likely a member of the Hesperorniths, a group of heavy, toothed, flightless diving birds from the Mesozoic. Its unique quadrate bone suggests it belonged to the Hesperornithidae family but may have had a different feeding specialization. Despite its robust build, it was relatively small, weighing around 2 kilograms. This discovery hints that flightlessness in Hesperorniths may have evolved more than once independently. Mesodma was a small, rodent-like mammal with sharp cusped teeth well adapted for gnawing and processing plant material, suggesting an omnivorous diet. Its dentition reveals complex tooth replacement patterns, offering valuable insight into early mammalian dental evolution. The genus includes multiple species that show notable variation in size and morphology, indicating rapid diversification among multituberculates. As one of the most common mammals in late Cretaceous fossil assemblages, Mesodma plays a key role in understanding mammalian survival strategies before and after the mass extinction. Cimolodon was a small multituberculate mammal, notable for its specialized teeth with multiple rows of cusps adapted for grinding tough vegetation and seeds. Its jaw structure and dental complexity suggest it filled a niche similar to that of modern rodents, despite being only distantly related. The variation in Cimolodon species reveals important evolutionary experimentation in feeding strategies among early mammals. Metasequoia was another genus of multituberculate mammals distinguished by robust jaws and complex, crescent-shaped teeth adapted for crushing and grinding hard food items like seeds or insects. Its powerful bite and dental durability indicate it was capable of processing a wide range of tough materials, making it a versatile forager. Fossil evidence shows that it could grow relatively large for Mesozoic mammals, suggesting it occupied a higher ecological tier than many of its contemporaries. The genus includes several species, showcasing a surprising degree of diversity within a single lineage. Not much is known about the appearance of Alphodon, as it is only known from teeth, a lower jaw and skull fragments. It probably grew to about 30 centimeters and may have resembled a modern opossum. Judging from its teeth, it was likely an omnivore, feeding on fruits, invertebrates and possibly small vertebrates. Didelphodon was a relatively large Mesozoic mammal with a powerful bite and specialized teeth adapted for crushing hard food like snails, bones, and possibly small vertebrates. Its jaws were short and massive, featuring blade-like cusps and carnassial notches, indicating a hypercarnivorous or durophagous diet rather than omnivory. Isotopic analyses and limb morphology suggest that it had a semi-aquatic lifestyle. Unlike more specialized bone crushers like hyenas, it lacked a vaulted forehead, implying a broader range of prey rather than strict scavenging. Its emergence alongside other large metatherians may reflect an ecological shift following the decline of eutriconodont mammals. This transition illustrates how metatherians like Didelphodon adapted to and filled vacant predatory niches in late Cretaceous ecosystems. At the end of the Cretaceous, this great diversity of small furry animals witnessed the emergence of true mammals, at the dawn of the megafauna that would arise after the massive Cretaceous extinction. Gypsonictops was one of the earliest leptictodons, known only from teeth and jaw fragments. We don't know much about its appearance or full size, although it was probably smaller than its later relatives, perhaps about 35 centimeters long. Any reconstruction of such fragmentary remains is going to be very speculative. A more sensu-like animal, mainly quadrupedal but able to run and hop on its hind legs to flee from danger or chase after small fast-moving prey. Altocreatus is a small, carnivorous mammal characterized by sharp, blade-like teeth adapted for slicing flesh, indicating a hypercarnivorous diet. Its dental morphology reveals evolutionary links to early carnivorous mammals, shedding light on the diversification of mammalian predators during the Mesozoic. Its discovery helps clarify the evolutionary transition from primitive insectivorous ancestors to more specialized meat-eaters. Plesiodapiforms first appeared during the Paleocene, shortly after the end Cretaceous mass extinction, and are key to understanding the origins of primates and treeshrews. These small-bodied mammals had specialized diets of insects and fruits, varying by species. These fossils suggest that the common ancestor of all primates likely emerged during the late Cretaceous, living alongside dinosaurs. The rapid diversification of archaic primates after the extinction event highlights their early success in exploiting forest canopy resources. This research extends the fossil record of primates and sheds light on how they began to separate from other mammals following the dinosaurs' demise.